Good morning. Happy Monday, friends. My name is Libby, and welcome to my audio journal, Finding Joy in the Shadows, where each week I show up here to talk through the curveballs life throws our way and to help us look for those pockets of joy that still manages to sneak its way in, even in the messiest moments. This space is part reflection, part resistance, and part love letter to anyone who's struggling out there and still showing up. I'm working through my own stuff here in real time, and if something I share helps you feel a little less alone or a little more grounded, then I think that's great. That means we're doing this work together. Today, I want to talk about finding our joy in our delulu. What does that mean? We're going to dive into that in a moment. But before I get too far ahead of myself, per usual, let's take a few minutes to catch up on some recent happenings from around the world and dive into a few Libby's problems or LPs that have been on my radar. I will say for this week, they are true LPs. I don't know if anyone else will find interest in them, but it was interesting and exciting to me, so I wanted to share them. So for this episode, Libby's problems are true. According to my nephew Jackson, they're true Libby's problems. Okay, so I've kind of had a bit of an emotional tilt-a-whirl over the last 24 hours. It started in the middle of the night when I found myself wide awake at 1:30 in the morning. And no matter what I did, I just couldn't fall back asleep. I tried all the things. Slowed my breathing, scrolled a little on the phone, even bargaining with the universe. Please, 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 just let me fall back asleep. But nothing worked. So eventually, I just accepted my fate and waited until it was time to get up and start pulling myself together for the day. I had a technology demo first thing in the morning, which meant I had to shower, do my makeup, and look presentable on Zoom, which, let's be honest, was not the vibe I was feeling, having not slept the night before. Right before I hopped into that demo, I had seen an email from one of my customers that had come through in the middle of the night. And it wasn't urgent, so I just put a little flag on it and added it to my to-do list to handle later in the day. Then I jumped into my work call. And I would say about an hour into the demo, I noticed my phone just started blowing up with notifications, specifically Instagram notifications. I was getting new follower after new follower, and DMs from people I didn't know, comments on my posts from like weeks ago. And I couldn't really react because I was mid-demo with my VP and a customer, all on Zoom. And we're all on camera, so everyone can see my face. And it was being recorded too. But I was definitely side-eyeing my phone, thinking, what in the world is happening right now? Well, it turns out the lovely Jackie In The Soop gave me the sweetest shout out on Instagram and encouraged her followers to find me. And they did. I was completely floored. I mean, this girl has some serious power. The kindest words from total strangers started flooding in, and I didn't even know what to do with that much love. They were saying things like, Jackie told me to come find you, so here I am. Like, my heart still can't process it, honestly. So there I was. Now I'm tired. I just come off this, 2.5 hour demo, and I get all of this. And I am just riding this high, trying to stay focused on work, but buzzing from such unexpected joy. And a little later in the afternoon, my nephew Jackson texted me and was like, hey, Aunt Libby, want to go grab some Ben & Jerry's? And I was like, obviously, yeah, priorities, right? When your niece or nephew reaches out to you and is like, hey, do you want to get ice cream? You go. That's the only answer. So I set my priorities and we went. But when I got back from my little ice cream field trip, I saw that my same customer from the night before had followed up again. And then he emailed my VP asking a question. And then he called into the 1-800 line saying he couldn't get a hold of me. And suddenly I went from like rainbows and sunshine to full-blown panic. In my head, I'm like, oh crap. Apparently this was important. This was a big deal. I didn't take it as a big deal, but clearly it was. And I have now dropped a massive ball. This is now a disaster that I need to clean up. But I will say, when I finally got him on the phone, he was totally fine. He didn't realize he was triggering any alarms. He just was asking questions. He's a very, very sweet person. So once he explained it, I could see his thought process as he was, operating. And we both apologized for not being there right away for each other. And I took care of his request right away, and everything is all good. But talk about a crash, right? From that Instagram high I had been riding all day to the yummy ice cream I had just ingested. So at that point, your girl was a little drained. It was going on like 5 o'clock at night. And so I decided to lay down on my couch and I took a little napetizer. You ever heard of that? It's like a nap before you go to bed instead of an appetizer before your, a little meal before your meal. That's an appetizer, right? Took a little nap before it was time for bed. And I absolutely passed out cold. I was exhausted. And for some reason, when I woke up 2 hours later, I grabbed my phone and just randomly opened LinkedIn, which I rarely do. And I saw an email from a man I met on a flight I was on back in May. We sat next to each other on a very bumpy ride from Minneapolis to Chicago. And I think you could tell I was a little terrified. I'm not a good flyer, but I do best when the plane feels like it doesn't feel like we're flying. You know what I'm talking about? But this one was so bumpy, I legit felt how fast 500 miles per hour felt. Like you could feel how fast the plane was going, and that terrified me. And I think he knew. And so he was being very sweet and he just kept talking to me to distract me. And as we started talking, turned out he works in sales, in manufacturing technology, and I work in sales. I work in ERP technology. And during the flight, he told me his company wanted him to start using AI and ChatGPT. But he was like, I don't even know where to begin. Um, so I gave him a little tutorial. I pulled up my phone, hopped on the Wi-Fi, and I started showing him how I use ChatGPT, how I have all these little chats. I have one assistant named Rita, and she pulls all these, analytics for me and reports on business, on areas of my business that I might need to be aware of. And so I show him all of this to help keep my brain occupied from not feeling like we're plummeting to our deaths in this airplane. And then we go on our merry way. What's funny is that we were actually on the exact same flight again when we were flying home. And we just happened to be sitting next to each other again. So time goes by, and he apparently had sent me a request on LinkedIn that I just completely ignored. And I do that. If I don't immediately recognize the person, I will let it sit there and I'll ruminate on it. I'll let it marinate, and I'll check out their profile and be like, do I even know you? Are we connected in some way? Like what? Because I've been burned a little bit by LinkedIn, where someone else's connection will come to me and I'll say, oh, well, Bobby knows that person. I'll take them in. And then all of a sudden I'm getting like spammed up the wahoo. So I've become a little bit, more hesitant to just blanket accept everyone. And I had forgotten about him. And so his request had been sitting there for a while. But earlier that morning, for whatever reason, before I hopped on my demo, I hopped into LinkedIn and I gave everyone an accepted. I had given them the privilege to add me to their LinkedIn. And when I woke up from my 2-hour nap, and I again just randomly went onto the LinkedIn app on my phone, I had seen that he had written me the sweetest message, not only thanking me for finally accepting his friend request. He was very sweet. He was like, I swear I'm not a stalker, but I cannot believe you made me wait this long. Because he couldn't wait to tell me that he had started using ChatGPT. And when it came time to name his AI assistant, he told me the only name he could think of was Libby. So yeah, I started the day sleepless and unsure how I'd get through it, and ended it with an AI assistant named in my honor. That's the full spectrum of human emotion right there, friends. So that literally that happened yesterday. That was the full day. Okay, one more fun thing to share before we dive into today's main topic. Have y'all watched the adorable Netflix series K-pop Demon Hunters yet? If it's not already on your radar or on your list, or if you have somehow been living under a rock and have no idea what I'm even talking about right now, stop what you're doing and add it to your My List right now. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Yes, be warned, it is a cartoon, but trust me, it's totally worth it. The storyline is great, and for all my fellow Gen Xers out there, the graphics gave me major 1980s Saturday morning cartoon vibes in the best way. Total heartwarmer. But the real star is the music. I've legit had the soundtrack blasting on repeat all week. And a few of the songs may have snuck their way into my Instagram reels. It's that good. I highly recommend. Okay. So those are the only topics or LPs, and those were two LPs that I could think of sharing today. As always, I've got my iced coffee in hand. Once again, Lulu Joy is in the house today. Okay, she was sleeping over by me, so now I don't really know where she is. So chances are you're going to hear her opinions at some point, and I hope she doesn't upset you too much. And I apologize ahead of time if her opinions do not match the opinions and views of this podcast. All right, so if you're ready to get started with today's topic, then I'm ready. Okay, so friends, for the rest of today's conversation, we're actually going to pick up right where we left off last week. If you remember, last week we talked about defining our own personalized JK5 categories. These are 5 simple categories that help anchor us to our joy when the world feels like it's spinning sideways. Now, to be fair, Miss Jenna Kutcher, a fellow Minnesotan and podcast phenom, originally created her JK5 method as a way and means to build a balanced, more well-rounded social media presence. But like I shared last week, I sort of borrowed her method and revamped it into something a little more personal. For me, my JK5 categories have become my joy anchors. They are the filters I view the world through that helps me mentally stay afloat when life gets overwhelming. Now, I do follow Jenna's recommendation, and I try to post something every day on the socials that echoes one of these categories. Well, I strive to at least. For me, spending time posting something that is BTS coded or a reel of Lulu Joy doing something cute takes me out of my own reality for just a few minutes and makes me genuinely happy. It's a small way I add joy to my day on a daily basis. So if you missed last week's episode, you might want to pause right here and go give it a go first, or make sure you circle back to it when you're done with this one. It'll help this next part make a little more sense. Okay, so now that we're all on the same page, I want to focus on those JK5 categories. Again, mine were, of course, my 7 Korean boys, BTS, duh, right? My dog Lulu Joy and all things Yorkies and cute animals, food videos, soulful content, and all things nostalgia. Nothing fancy, nothing performative, just things that help me feel a little more like myself when the world feels like it's flipping upside down. They don't have to be big or public or impressive even. They just have to be yours. How many of you have seen that girl on Instagram whose whole shtick is say the weird thing, right? Can you see her right now in your head when I say that? Say the weird thing. Same energy I want to bring here for this. Own your JK5s. And if one of your categories qualifies as delulu, well, heck, even better. Honestly, I think the more delulu right now, the better. And I mean that in the best possible way. Now, for those of you who aren't as familiar with this word, delulu, let me bring you up to speed real quick. According to my bestie, Mrs. Google, and our best friend over at Urban Dictionary, delulu is actually a slang term that first popped up in K-pop circles. Yes, technically it comes from the word delusional. And yes, it's often used to describe someone who truly believes they're going to meet their K-pop idol, fall madly in love, and just live happily ever after. Trust me, I know exactly how ridiculous that sounds. But here's the thing. I also think the word is kind of adorable. Delulu. I like saying it. I think it's cute. So in 2025, I'm reclaiming this word as a force of good, for joy, for survival. If building yourself a little set of joy categories means you lean into things that other people might not understand, whether they're silly, niche, a little bit cringe, or even a little bit delulu, so what? As long as your joy isn't hurting you, harming others, or putting children in danger, then babe, go be delulu, fully, loudly, joyfully. See, somewhere along the way, society and the internet decided that delulu, or being a little overly enthusiastic about things, a little extra, a little soft in our obsessions, was a bad thing. Okay. What if it's not? What if it's actually a soft place to land when the world feels too crazy? What if letting ourselves be a little delulu sometimes is how we survive this timeline? It's how we give ourselves permission to laugh again. Maybe it's how we find the tiniest crack of light when everything else feels so dark. So for today's conversation, I brought in one of my favorite voices to help me unpack this idea of finding joy in our delulu. She's a rising star among BTS Army circles. And honestly, I am so thankful, grateful, and blessed to have her in this space with us, which is why I invited Jackie from Jackie In The Soop to join me for this one. As you'll hear me say, probably more than once in this episode, and as I talked about it last week, leaning into darkness. That part's easy. Darkness is sneaky like that. The longer we sit with it, the tighter its grip becomes. And as I said last week, darkness loves darkness. I'm going to say that again. Darkness loves darkness. That's why we need people like Jackie from Jackie In The Soop. She's what I call a light bearer. Someone who shows up with immense joy, love, humor, fun, and a little bit of sass. Exactly the energy the world could use a whole lot more of right now. Her content, it's not just fangirling fun, although there's plenty of that. It's a reminder that even in chaos, there are still things worth smiling about. So today, we're going to talk about what it looks like to lean into the things that make us light up, even when the world feels a little dark. We're going to talk about why embracing our joy, our delulu, our fully unfiltered fangirl selves actually matters. And why sometimes the most radical thing we can do is just let ourselves feel happy on purpose. All right, I'm coming a little closer here. Okay, fair warning. There's going to be a lot of BTS talk in this one, okay? Just throwing it out there. It's going to be a lot of BTS talk in this one. I personally may have fangirled out a little too much when I was talking with Jackie. But honestly, I had an absolute blast breaking down all things BTS, the Army fandom, and why joy, especially the silly kind, is worth celebrating. I literally had a smile from ear to ear the whole time. I hope you have just as much fun listening to this conversation as we had recording it. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's dive in, and please help me welcome Jackie In The Soop.
So, hello. I am so excited to have Jackie In The Soop joining me to have this conversation about where we can find joy, how we can lean into a little bit of our delulu, which I don't think is a bad thing in 2025. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a necessary thing. And I am just so thankful, grateful, and blessed that you accepted my friend request and you responded to my request because for those of you who are new to Jackie, when I reached out to you, you were like days away from flying to Korea to celebrate BTS's Festa return from the military and J-Hope's final show, and you were like, "Totally cool. Let's connect when I'm home." And you were true to your word, and I am just so thankful, grateful, and blessed that you have carved out some time for little old me. And welcome to Libby's audio journal.
Thank you, Libby. I'm so happy to be here. And I was flattered that you asked. It's my first time actually being a guest on a podcast like this that was not strictly a BTS type podcast. It's just about finding joy and all that. So I'm so excited. Thank you for thinking of me.
I love that. So when I started to do this podcast, the idea of it just seemed so foreign to me. But two of my best friends who they do not know each other, they still have never met. But at the same time, they were both perching in my ear and they were like watching me go through a really dark period in my life, like really, really dark, like RM dark, right? Like just
Mm.
wasn't good. And they watched me come out of it and come out stronger than when I entered it. And they both were like, you need to share how you're doing this. And when you hear stuff like that, you're like, I'm not doing anything different. And I don't think I'm doing anything special, but I'm doing things the way I'm figuring it out.
Mhm.
And one of the ways I agreed, which it sounds so funny to say out loud, like I told them, I'm only going to do this if I can spend a little bit of time talking about BTS. And they were like, okay, like if that's what it's gonna take. So I love that you were like, this isn't a true BTS podcast, but I think my friends and family would be like, isn't that all you talk about? Like, so
You're
I always
always
try to
working
find
it
a
in.
way to get them in. For you, I'm wearing a new t-shirt that I got not that long ago. It says Bangtan with the number 7.
I love that.
So yes,
Love it.
I love it too. I love it so much. I bought a second one just to have as a backup because you know how the the color black always fades in the wash. And so
Yes, you
I
have
was
to have
like,
a backup.
yeah, I might actually get like a third one just to have like a backup to my backup.
And I actually think, did you get that on Etsy?
I did get it on Etsy.
Because that looks exactly like the one that I bought for my army friends. I bought them all Bangtan shirts with that
Yeah,
font. And I think it's the same one. It's
it's
amazing.
probably the exact same one. They didn't offer it in black. It was only in like white or like one other color. And I messaged the shop owner and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need this in another color." And she was
Oh,
like, "Totally cool. As soon as you place your order, that's what you'll get." And so she's now like my new best friend. So
ah, it's the best merch. Etsy merch is the best merch.
I love it. I love it. So you are Jackie in the Soup.
Yeah.
So for me, I am kind of aware of how you came up with your name handle. So it is in the soup is in reference to the BTS variety show that they did in the soup. Now, I am still new. I'm a new baby army, I guess as they say. So I don't know when in the soup aired. I want to guess it around COVID times, but I could be totally
Mhm,
wrong. And I
mhm.
don't even know really what in the soup means. So would
Yeah.
you take a minute and introduce yourself and kind of walk us through who Jackie in the Soup is and what does in the soup mean?
Yes, absolutely. So, first, the name Jackie in the Soup, yes, you're right. It comes from the In the Soup show, which aired in, I believe it was 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
But the word soup is the Korean word for forest. So, the show is
Mm,
all about them
okay.
retreating to the forest and relaxing. And I live in a forest much like that. I live
Okay.
um, like 2 hours outside New York City in rural Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, I'm in the soup here. So it was actually a friend of mine. I was just operating under the handle Jackie BTS. It was like the most basic,
Yeah.
unoriginal thing. And she's like, you're in the soup. And Jackie in the Soup was born. And um, really, I'm just an average working single mother, BTS fan, and I was operating on Instagram with hardly any followers for years, just kind
Hmm.
of loving BTS and making connections with people, that sort of thing. And one day, one reel just kind of took off about BTS ticketing and how to get BTS tickets. I decided to just film myself
Hmm.
talking about it. And it took off and it just blew up. And I shot to, 20,000 followers in the first few days. It just instantly,
Crazy.
yeah. And I never saw it coming and things just kind of blew up. And I said, wow, there really is a need for this. If that's the reel that took off, there's
Hmm.
got to be a lot of armies out there that are just completely overwhelmed and lost in this fandom and don't know where to start. Yes.
Yeah, me
So
included.
right, because it's so much. Because I remember when I came into it, it was so much.
Yeah,
So I kind of just said, all right, I'm just going to start talking about the basics of Army fandom. And I'm just going to put it out there.
yeah.
And that kind of short form content, I think, was kind of missing in the fandom. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube and you can get the information anywhere. But to
Hmm.
just have a face on there talking to you for these quick snippet, this is what you need to know about this.
Yeah.
Um, Started doing really well. So it kind of took off and I started attracting people that were a lot like me,
Hmm.
adult armies that are yes, all the things
That's
that come
what
with
drew
being an
me to
adult.
you. When you first started showing up, I guess they call it the For You page. I was like,
Mhm.
I think I'm older, but I like that we're close enough in age
Yeah,
because that's the first thing people will say to you when they hear, "Oh, you're into BTS. Aren't they like teenagers? And like, are
yeah.
you just around a bunch of teen boppers?" And that's actually so far from the truth. But when
Mhm.
you see other people out there putting content out that are like close in that age bracket, it's like, okay, I'm going to lean on that person. I'm going to follow this person because they're just like me. And
Yes.
that's how you found me. And after a while of just liking your things and saving your things to go back, it was when you went to the Brooklyn show for J-Hope, where I was like, all right, I think I need to give this girl a follow because clearly I'm liking her content. And that's now every day you're like one of the first people I see
Uh,
when I pull up Instagram, which is great.
well, I appreciate that. Yes. I mean, there's just so much to know aside from just how to get concert tickets, how to navigate Weverse and the
Oh,
membership, but then there's also like this huge discography of music that they've been pumping out since 2013.
yeah. And
All
it's
these
hard
eras.
to figure it out. Like
It is.
there, I, again, I am 2 years in. I didn't know there was another version of Mic Drop until J-Hope performed in France.
Oh yeah,
I only knew
the
the other
original.
one. And so when he was performing it, I was like, this is a great song. I had
Yeah,
no idea. I have pulled up BTS songs all in Apple, but I almost feel like that's not even all of them.
yeah. There's
It's
so much
crazy.
because they have their Japanese releases as well. They
Hmm.
released all their, albums in Japanese and there's so much and they had eras and trilogies and all kinds of things and it's like how do you make sense of this when you're new?
Yeah.
How do you break it down? So that was another series I did just kind of breaking down all the musical eras they had and it just is content that people need and it's been so awesome to connect with people like me that maybe have never been to a concert came in during enlistment
Hmm.
time so they're not used to I mean like you said yourself right you didn't get to
Yeah.
see OT7
No,
until now.
I think it was last week, or on July 1st, when they, all of a sudden I came home from grabbing my morning coffee and I just happened to look at my phone and I was like, BTS is gone. I'm like, I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, what is that? Like, because I'm used to seeing like, JK's live, Jin's live. I was used to that, but I had never
Mhm.
seen BTS live. And when I
Right.
clicked on it, I was like, oh, this is real. Like this.
Right.
And then I sat there and I was like, so this is it. This is what it's like. This is what I've been waiting for 2 years to
Yeah.
experience.
Yes, that's been so rewarding for me because when my account took off right after they announced, their plans to go on a hiatus, so June 2022.
Okay.
And I think it was because Army was searching for community. They were searching for something, especially people that just found them
Oh, yeah.
were like, now what? I just found this group and they're going on hiatus. Now what do I do? So
Mm-hmm.
all of these people just kind of needed a place to land and have community and pass the time and learn about BTS. And I've worked really hard to kind of create that space for people. And now that they're back, it's like this full circle moment where these
Mm-hmm.
people are experiencing that rush of seeing them. And some people have gone to J Hope's concert and they come up to me at the concerts and say, your
I love
your
that.
your ticket your ticket reel is what helped me get tickets for today. Just things kind of coming full circle and paying off. It's so, so rewarding.
Yeah.
I love it.
I will say if you haven't done one on merch, because I know when we first talked the other day and I shared with you my story on merch. Because within 4 months of deciding, okay, I do like these guys. I'm going to be a fan. And oh, who's this sugar? Oh, he's August D also. Okay, I really like him. Oh, he's going to be in Chicago. Sure, I'll hop on an airplane, grab a friend, take her with against her will. And waiting in this like ridiculous long line thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're going to miss the concert, so we'll just we'll get merch at the end of the show." So we go to the concert, have an amazing time. It's like almost midnight. We see the lines are still so long, and my friend looked at me and she just looked so tired. And here I had dragged her on an airplane to go see them. So I was like, "I'll just get a t-shirt tomorrow online. No big deal." Had no idea that you can only get merch at the events.
Yeah,
Lived
that's
it,
a
learned it.
rookie mistake we've all made, but you can
Yeah.
get them online if you have great luck because they sell out in
Yes,
2 minutes.
that is the other thing. They will have them online. I noticed that, but they're all sold out.
Gone
Yeah,
instantly. You have to be there immediately. I mean,
like right away.
the collecting, I've never personally gotten into the collecting aspect of Army, but collectors are really, really intense.
Oh,
There are
I didn't
people that
even
collect.
think of that. Was
Yes, it's huge. It's a big
yeah,
deal in K-pop in general, and not just
I
BTS
suppose.
collecting it, but BTS merch is it's like a sport. And
Oh, that's good to know. I did not know
yeah,
any of that.
yeah, it's a
I
lot.
yeah, when I
So
went to J-Hope, I dragged my nephew with. And I was like, I wish I could be inside his brain to understand what I was thinking. Or how he was perceiving me. Cause I was like, I don't care what we do, but we are getting in line no later than 5 o'clock. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, no, no, no,
yeah,
no. 5 p.m. Yeah. I, he did know that I looked earlier in the morning, but the line was so long and I had to work during the day. And so we had gone to the Chicago Museum. And the whole time I was like checking the watch. I was like, we gotta go. We gotta go. And we were having so much fun. I was so glad that we did it, but I was like, we gotta go. I'm like, we need to get in line for merch. And he was like, okay. Like he didn't understand until we got there. And we literally got in line, I think at like 5:05. And we got the last of the things that they had. I wanted a large t-shirt, had to settle for a medium and like stretched it to fit. Like we got in line at 5:05. We got our merch. We got in line to get in, ran to the restroom, got our seats. We literally had like 3 minutes before the show started. He was
yeah,
like, I get it now. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'm surprised you even got anything that late. I mean, if there's a hot commodity
Hmm.
item, those can be gone within the first
Oh,
hour
yeah. We didn't
because
get everything we wanted, but I did get the shirt that
yeah.
I wanted. So,
Oh, good. I'm glad you got something because
yeah.
most of the time it's cleared out because people are just when you said 5, I was like, "Oh, 5 AM.
5
Yeah, that sounds
a.m.
about
Yeah.
right."
Yeah.
And
It's
you said
so
5
funny because I'm going to Dallas in 2 weeks to see Jen. And at
awesome.
first I was like, I am not going to want to stand outside in Dallas in that heat. But if I go at 5 a.m., maybe I'm going by myself for the first time ever. So
Oh, you
maybe.
are?
Yeah. I'm so excited. I was checking the resellers and Homeboy his tickets are selling higher than J-Hope's were. At least I think they were from my perspective.
Oh, really?
I was noticing seats like $1,200 and I'm just like, I can't do that.
Oh
And
my
one
gosh.
day I went on there and I saw one seat right in front of the stage, just one level up, and it was under $500. I won't say exactly how, but it was under 500. And I was like, before I even knew it, I bought it. And I
Black
was
out
like,
and just buy it.
right? I'm like, it says there's nothing obstructing it. It was the only one that was under $1,000 in that section. And I was like, I'm gonna take it. So
Oh,
I am
good
going to
for
see.
him. I'm so happy. I'm
I
happy for you and I'm happy
know.
for Jen that that's happening. I'm not
I
happy
know.
for us because of the prices, but
The prices were really expensive.
yeah.
And because I would see some people online saying how come his concert's not sold out? So then I would go and look and I'd be like, because they're selling for $1,200. I don't have $1,200.
Exactly.
Like, sorry.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I'm trying to figure out my merch strategy for that one. So
Mm.
Jackie in the Soup stands for the Korean word forest. So there was that nice little connection with the guys, which I absolutely love. I didn't know that, but now looking back to seeing some of the reels about them writing the song, I would see the word forest in parentheses way over my
Yep.
head. Did not
Yep.
make any sense, but now it's like, got it. So, as the kids say, who's your bias? Do you have a bias?
I do. My bias is Jungkook, JK.
JK.
Yes, and my bias wrecker is Taehyung. I'm a
Oh,
I'm a I'm a Taehyung girl.
we
I
have that
actually
in common.
I
Yes.
came into the fandom thinking I was a Taehyung. He was the one that caught my eye, the one that got my attention.
Hmm.
Um, and I committed to him. I made a commitment. This is my bias, but I knew that it
Yeah,
was JK in my heart. JK was the one, but I swear, I always talk about this on Instagram and my podcast that when you commit to a bias, it feels like a real commitment. Like
it
it's
does.
almost like I felt like I could not leave him. Like, no, I
Hmm.
committed to Tay. He's my bias. But
Yeah,
then I eventually, had to stop lying to myself. But Tay is
ah,
still very dear. He is my bias wrecker,
he is.
firm. But JK is my man.
Yes.
That's
You know what? And I can absolutely see why. Because he is just fantastic on every level and just very, very handsome as well. So I can totally see that. Tay is also my bias wrecker. I'm trying to think. So when I started getting into them, I had to keep Googling like, okay, who's in BTS? Because like I wasn't used to seven people and it was hard to keep track. And so I did it like the old school way. I went like one by one, and the first person I looked at was Namjoon, and I didn't understand the whole RM rap monster, and I just felt like I can't call him rap monster. Like I just that those words can't come out of my mouth. I just don't feel like that. Like that's my that's me. And so I started referring to him as Namjoon, and I said that to a friend from college who is a fan on the outskirts, and she made me she giggled. She was like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to him as Namjoon, but that's how I kept seeing in Google, right?
uh-huh.
So I started with him, and then I went to Jin, then I went to J-Hope, and then I landed on Suga, and I that was it. That was it. I just felt
That was it.
like an immediate connection to him, to his story, to his past story, the struggles that he overcame. His rapping skills are
Mm,
ridiculous. I mean, all of the rappers' skills in BTS are ridiculous, but like there was just something different about him that like spoke to me.
yeah.
And then I saw a video with Tay, and I was like,
He's
I don't know
cute.
how to wrestle with this. So they're pretty much even.
Mm,
But I have to say, Suga is my bias, as the kids say.
yeah.
With Taeyong being my bias wrecker very easily. He's dangerous. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yoongi definitely when he gets his claws in you, it's like he never lets you go. Like people that
Cute. Yes.
love Yoongi, and it's very hard to get them to ever shift from that. They're just
Yes.
Yoongi biased forever, and that's it. So
Yes. I feel that. I absolutely feel that. Which is why within 4 months of just starting to listen to these guys, I found myself on an airplane to go see them. I had never ever done anything like that before in my life, but it was for Suga,
yeah,
and just very happy memories on that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
We have that in common actually, because for permission to dance in Las Vegas, I grabbed my son because my son was an army at the time when he was younger. He was 6, but he loved them.
yeah,
I'm like, let's get on a plane and go to Vegas and see BTS. And that is so unlike me to do that. I
yeah,
just got on a plane. Next thing you know, we're in Vegas, flying across the country, and then took a red eye home after the concert was over. Like,
I love that.
but it was such a memory. We will always
Yes,
remember that moment. We just said, screw it. Let's get on a
let's
plane.
just go. Let's just go and do.
Exactly. So I get
S-
that.
So when we look outside, I always phrase it like this. When I look outside my world, when I look outside the window, when I look at my phone and I see what's happening in our country, outside our country, just the world in general right now, the overall collective is that it's just a lot of ugh. Like it's
Yeah.
heavy, right? There isn't a news story that depending on how you view it, how you see it, how you feel about it, it's divisive. right?
Mhm.
We could both watch the same news story. I will take it one way, you'll take it another way. And, two people could end up fighting over the exact same story. It is
Yeah.
crazy town right now. And
Yeah.
it's, I am an empath by nature. And so empaths, we don't just feel our feelings. I feel your feelings. I feel the world's feelings. And so it weighs on me. And so one of the things that not only do I focus on for my own mental health right now, but also as kind of a core thing for this podcast is just focusing on what we can control and just leaning in on what makes us happy. And I do like the Gen Z term leaning in on your delulu because I think it's adorable. My niece or my nephew's girlfriend was like, "What does delulu stand for?" And I was like, "Technically delusional, but in 2025, I think it just means leaning in on those little pockets of joy, those things where I'm going to be unapologetic about these are the things I love. I'm not hurting anyone. It's not hurting humans. It's not hurting children. This is what I love. And for me,
Mhm.
when I list out the top five things that I think represent me and represent my happiness, the number one thing is BTS. And
Mhm.
I know for some out there, especially my more analytical friends, if and when they hear me say that, no offense to you guys, but when I was going through my dark stuff, I am so happy that I had those little videos while I was laying on my couch, barely able to move, to see, to eat, to drink, whatever. I would watch their
Mhm.
little videos and just hearing them laugh. I don't know how to describe it, but just hearing them laugh just like hit a part in my brain that just like I was okay in those moments. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of what I wanted to navigate this conversation towards was yes, I totally wanted to hijack my own podcast and bring someone on to spend time talking about BTS because I don't have a ton of people in my world to do that. But BTS is a common thread of where we find happiness. And so I'm
Yeah.
curious, you had had a couple people on, I think it was a podcast or something where you were talking to someone, a fellow army, where they were talking about the resistance they get when people hear
Yeah.
that they are, that they're a part of this fandom. And what does it mean to you to be a member of army and be a part of this fandom? And can you pinpoint the time where you realized these guys are like where I get are like my not where they solely give you happiness, but it allows you to feel happy.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, much like you and much like so many armies, I was also going through a dark time when I found them. I had gone through a tumultuous divorce. I was in the middle of just trying to rebuild my life for my kids. I
Mm-hmm.
was suddenly a single mother. So those were some of the most challenging years.
Wow.
And I had completely lost myself in that. I mean, because you can't process, when your relationship is ending, I really couldn't even process it because I
Mm-mm.
had to focus on the kids and creating a life and giving them a home and all of that. So I was solely focused on that. And when I found BTS, or my son found BTS, and he's the one who brought them to me.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Oh
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we have Asian descent in us, and my son looks pretty Asian, and
Okay.
he came to me and said, "I feel like I look like these guys."
Oh,
And he felt represented, and he just thought they were the coolest thing. So, of course, I embraced that fully.
yeah.
But as I would put BTS on, In The Soop was one of the first things that we watched together, and I would just keep them on all day, and the sounds of their laughter filling my house, even though I had no idea what they were laughing about.
No idea what they're laughing about.
No
Yeah.
clue, but just the joy and being with each other, I just found that I started laughing. Suddenly,
Hmm.
I'm laughing again, and when I watch them dance, next thing you know, I'm off the couch trying to learn choreo. Just they got me out of this funk I was in, and as beautiful as it was isolating too because
Hmm.
people don't get it.
People don't get
I
it.
They don't get it because here I am, at the time, I'm in my mid-30s and BTS was in their 20s. So here I am loving this group of Korean guys in their 20s like nobody understood it. And
Nope.
I didn't have my Instagram at the time. I was just kind of sharing stuff of them on my personal Instagram, and nobody gave a crap. Nobody cared.
Right.
My family would humor me, but at the end of the day, they didn't understand. So my sister actually gave me the greatest advice. She's like, you need to find your people. You need to find your people. You need to find a space where you can just be unapologetic and loud about
Mm-hmm.
them. So she said, create a BTS Instagram just for yourself, just so you
Yeah.
can get your feed the way you want it. You can share stuff. So I did it. I did it. And suddenly, very slowly, I start finding people that would follow me and we would
Mm-hmm.
talk and I'd create these friendships. And yeah, it was that was key, finding your people, finding the people that get you. Because now, yes, of course, I get looks if I'm at work and I'll say, "Oh, I went to South Korea. Why'd you go to Korea?" And I'll say, "Oh, I went to see BTS."
For
They're like,
BTS,
"What?"
duh.
The looks. So I deal with that all
Mm-hmm.
the time. They're either just like, "That's weird," or like, "Oh, that's cute,"
Right.
and with like a judgy tone or whatever. But I don't care anymore because I know
No.
that I have my community, I have my safe space where we all just get one another.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. And I felt every word you were saying. I was not going through a marital divorce, but was still dealing with stuff where I was in that when you're in that dark space where things and people that you were surrounded with are now gone. There's an empty void, and that is a very
yeah.
scary headspace to be.
Mhm.
Um, I just, when I was going through it, it was just me and my dog. And yeah, watching the videos and just hearing their laughter, I don't know how to describe it, but there was just something that like brought me back to my humanity.
Yes.
And I feel like when I watch the world kind of unraveling right now, I see two avenues. There's the people that are leaning into all of the ugly and using it as an excuse to be uglier. And
Mhm.
then there's people that are working so hard to lean into the lighter side, the happier side. And it is it's so fascinating to me. And these are just my own thoughts, but it is so much easier to lean in on the other stuff. I could
Mhm.
have very easily stayed on that couch. I could still be on that couch, just hood
Yeah.
over my eyes and just screw the world.
Yeah.
And I know, as crazy as it's going to sound, is that these seven Korean boys in, they were part of the strength that helped me stay in the positive, in the light. I have
Mhm.
examples in my world of people that have given up on that happiness, on that
Yeah.
light, and their entire life is just things they don't have. And
Work
just
and
angry and
responsibility.
work and responsibility. And, you know, I, it's not easy to lean in on the happy. And then when you tell people your, your exit or your avenue for happiness, then you have to deal with that response. And it's like,
Yeah.
who? I'm sorry, your life is no picnic right now. The there was this I either saw it on Pinterest or Instagram like eons ago that was like, don't judge me because I sin differently from you. And that has just always stayed with me. And, when I started telling people, yeah, I'm listening to BTS and they're
Mhm.
amazing, their immediate response was eyes rolled, just, ugh.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
then it was, aren't they like in teenagers? And then I would have to say, actually, they're like almost 30. Um,
Yeah.
and then the crazy thing is usually the third thing, if that didn't get me to submit to them and be like, okay, and quiet, then they
Yeah.
would be like, isn't their fandom crazy? Those were the three things that
Yeah.
every time I bring up to someone that I'm into BTS, rolled eyes, aren't they teenagers? And isn't their fandom crazy?
And yeah. Yeah.
And I it's so funny to me. And it's I guess it's more like irony funny because some people I think are just scared of being truly happy. And I
Yeah.
think BTS represents just true happiness. And even though they themselves have well documented their own struggles in this
Mhm.
world, their music, their messaging, just their the light that they bring is just pure happiness, and that scares a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think also people are so caught up because I say this because I was, if it's not for my kids, if it's not for my job, if it's not for my daily responsibilities, then, have no business doing that. Like BTS was the first thing that I got into that was completely selfish. It was a
Mm,
completely selfish thing. Me getting on planes, like saying, I'm going to this concert
yeah, for me.
for me, and I'm sorry, like I'm taking off work or this will have to wait. I have put BTS at times before my kids, not in like a
Of
in more
course.
in like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm going to go to this concert. I'm going to go to Korea.
Hmm.
People had said to me, "Well, maybe you should take your kids on a vacation." I said, "No, I'm going to
Hmm.
Korea
Hmm.
for me." So it's hard for people to let themselves go like that because they want to be in control. They want to
Hmm.
be focused on the day to day. But I just kind of broke that cycle with myself. I'm like, there's more to life than working, being a mom, and everything. This is
Yeah.
for me. So that's hard.
I I love that. When did you stop apologizing for for the things that make you happy, right? Like, no, this is what I'm doing. I am carving this out for me. I am going to get on an airplane and I'm going to take my kid to go see them. I'm going to get on an airplane to go to Korea.
Mhm.
When did you stop apologizing? Walk me through that.
I'll be perfectly honest. I still struggle with it at times with certain people. There are
Yeah.
still, it's still, I hang my head in shame a little bit when I say to my
Oh,
mother, like, I'm going to another concert because I get that look like,
yeah.
do you have to do, don't
Do
you
you
have
really
something else
have to
you
do
should be
that? Yeah.
doing? How much did you pay for that? Who's watching the kid? So I still have that.
Okay.
But, um, I don't think I ever apologized for it. I did keep it quiet for a while, but once I started finding my own community and once I my Instagram became something, it
Mm-hmm.
became this big beautiful thing. I
Yeah.
just said, I don't need to apologize to anybody because this
Mm-mm.
is my presence is needed in this fandom. The numbers show it. The followers
Yeah.
come because there's something I'm doing that is making the fandom a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to do it. And people see that I'm happier. And I've had people come to me and say, like other moms my age, like, I can't believe that you just did that. I can't believe you just got on a plane and went to Korea. Like, that's amazing,
It's amazing.
that you did that for yourself because it's
Mhm.
so hard. 5 years ago, I could have never thought that I could do anything like
No,
that because
no.
kids always need something first, or somebody always needs something first before
Yeah.
myself. So yeah, I've stopped apologizing. I'm definitely firm with it now. Like, you may not understand, but this is what I'm
Hmm.
doing. This is what I'm doing.
I love
And
that.
that's it. Yeah.
I love that. It took me uh I honestly it took me until like maybe the beginning of this year. So
Yeah.
the first full year when I first started listening to the guys, um people would ask me like jokingly, not in a positive affirming way. It was a joke. It was like, "Oh, so are you a part of Army now?" And my response to them was, no, 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 no. Like,
I just like
mm,
BTS, but I'm
yes,
not into
I
it.
exactly, exactly. So it started out as I would say, no, 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 no. I just listen. I'm just a fan. Then I started to make the excuse, I'm too old. I'm just,
Yeah.
I missed the mark to become Army. I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, I think it was around the same time I found your feed. It was back in January. Um, and I kind of had this like moment where I was like talking to myself and I was like, I don't think I can say that anymore. Like I think I am part of Army.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the moment when I stopped apologizing for it. And I started buying more things and I started buying t-shirts and wearing them, proudly. I have like their figurines that are staring at me.
Yeah.
I found myself bringing it up in conversation in work environments, being like, yeah, I do that. Yeah. And what's so great is what I found is when I bring it up with that personality, the person on the receiving side is like, well, tell me more about this. I just got a new
Wow.
VP and they were like, let's get to know each other. And I was like, well, listen, I'm a big fan of K dramas and BTS, and it's going to come up whether it just happens to come up in conversation or I'm going to
Yep.
bring it up in conversation. And she was like, who? I need to know more about this. And
Yeah.
so she now there's like a little part in our one-on-ones where she's like, how are BTS? My previous regional director for Christmas got me this really cute mug that has the BTS love and it's like I purple you. And I was like, I
Aw.
felt so much love when I embraced them and I embraced kind of like my reality and this is who I am. The people around me, um, not everybody, I will say, not everybody, but majority of the people around me embraced it too. And that
Yes.
has been so rewarding is like this is my I have a cousin, Jonathan, who after my first season of doing the podcast, learning everything I needed to know because I didn't know anything. I wasn't sure I was going to do any more episodes, and I was kind of toying with it back and forth. And he jokingly texted me, but he was 100% serious. And he was like, no, I need you to record more. I need to know what's happening with your 7 Korean boys. And
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is important now. Now
Yeah.
I need to make sure you are staying informed. So,
Yes, it is true. I experienced that too. I have sisters who I'm very close with, and they probably couldn't even name all their names. But I'll tell you what, my Christmas present from them is always
uh-huh.
something BTS. They pretend they humor me when I have a moment, and I'm like, they just all got out of the military. Like they get it. They kind of view them as like their, I don't know, brother-in-laws or something. They're an extended family.
I love it. I do.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, if there is one thing, well, is there anything that they've taught you about yourself as being a member of this fandom?
Mm. I think that obviously the love yourself message is prominent across everybody kind of takes something
Mm-hmm.
from that, but I never knew I consider myself a pretty introverted person, which you would never
Oh,
think looking at me from having a podcast and being social and la la la.
mm-hmm.
But I never realized that I did have this kind of knack for speaking about things in a clear manner and bringing people together and creating safe spaces. I didn't know that I had that
Mm-hmm.
in me. And BTS kind of just showed me that I do. I have this like knack for it and I love it. And they taught me something about myself that I never knew. And
I love
um
that.
yeah, it's amazing, and they also show me they've taught me to just always try to be perfecting your craft, always try to be better. JK, my bias is the one where it's like, "Okay, you found
Okay.
something that you're good at, keep going."
So I love that you said that because I've never shared this with anyone before, but I kid you not, when I'm working out in the morning and I'm running and feeling like I'm about to fall over, I literally think about JK working out. Not in like an inappropriate way, in a if I were working out alongside him, like he would be like,
Yes.
you're stopping at that.
Yep.
And that like that drives that like you find that internal motivation, like, okay,
Yes.
like it is so weird how all of a sudden like just boop, that popped in and it was like, okay, I can do this. And
Yeah.
then when I'm, crushing, the 4.5, mph that I'm running, which is not very fast on the treadmill, in my head I picture like, oh, See, I'm doing
They're
good. I'm doing good.
they're
If
cheering you
you were to
on.
see me, I would be crushing it right now. You'd be high-fiving me.
Yes.
It's so weird how that just creeps in, but I can absolutely relate. I think so. When my friend Kirsty suggested I listen to BTS because she's like, oh, if you like these K dramas, you would totally like BTS. I came home and I pulled up their songs and I listened to four songs, and the first two I was like, they're okay, but like and then I got to Pied Piper. That was the third song, and I was like, ooh, okay, okay, I see where we're going with this. And then it was Idol. And that solidified me that it is, I listen to that song every day. And that line with, I believe it's with Yoongi and JK, where he's like, I love myself, like
Yeah.
that. I sing it out loud. I remember the first time I heard that song, and I remember just, I was driving and finding myself waiting for that point and then just singing it out loud, and it
Mm.
just brought me, like, it always brings me instant joy.
Yes.
And so that also just, I'm very big into manifesting and affirmations and the power of attraction, and there is something to be said when you speak kindly to yourself.
Hmm.
It is amazing how different your outlook is. It's not pretending like the bad stuff isn't happening, but it kind of goes hand in hand with, like, it's very easy to focus on the dark and the gray and the dungy and to lean into all the ugly that the world has and to just
Yeah.
hate everyone and everything, just want all bad things to happen to people. But when you switch that and you start focusing on lighter things and you start focusing on the things that make you happy, and then you start changing the way you speak to yourself, and their lyrics are like, they literally mirror the law of attraction in the
Yeah.
positive.
Hmm.
I think all of that kind of connected, you get to this point where you're like, I am genuinely happy.
Yes.
And to someone outside who doesn't get it, I get it. That sounds crazy to just be
Yeah.
like, I love them. They make me
Yeah.
happy. Like, that
Yeah.
makes you sound like you're not in control of your thoughts. But that is like the natural progression, right? And I
Yeah.
apologize. My dog is barking in the background. And that's why so many people just find genuine, true happiness being a member of this fandom, is like, they're singing about, loving yourself, being positive, um, happy things. When you watch the content that they put out, I've seen videos where they have asked this question, like, why are we different? What is different about us that makes us, international? And I think it's just their own authenticity, their own happiness. They genuinely love all
Mhm.
seven of each other. They support each other. There is just that X factor that I don't know, Jim, and I know you keep asking the question, but I don't know the answer. But all I know is that not only do I love and appreciate these guys, but it has changed the trajectory that I'm on. I am more self-confident. They help navigate the positivity on the path that I needed at the time that I needed it.
Mhm.
And I am unapologetic when it comes to them, and very, I will say, one of the things that I felt very weird, a feeling come over, was I feel very protective of them, which is
Mhm.
weird because I haven't known them that long. I didn't know them when they were really young, and they were just coming up. I just started to get to know them, but it's amazing how within the first couple of months I felt this, like, level of protection over them. Like, I think it was Taeyong when he was in Paris and there was a scandal because he might be dating someone and it
Oh
was
yeah.
bad. It was really bad. And I just
Yeah.
remember just being like, oh my gosh, I don't know him, but I need to like protect him. And then with the stuff that, Yoongi had to go through, I'm not going to talk about it,
Mhm.
but like we all know. Well, actually, no, if you listen to my podcast, you did hear me talk about it because I did bring it up a couple of times, but we're not going to talk about it. But it was
Yeah.
really hard and so I feel protective over these guys. I think that was probably the most surprising thing was like when you get that you feel like you're not part of them because I'm certain could not get on a stage and perform, but you feel part of the community and you feel connected
Yeah.
and you feel their love and there's something about watching the other fans enjoy them as well. I feel very protective of them as
Yeah.
well. Like it's a weird feeling. Have you do you feel that too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's because BTS they let us close. I mean, it's not just the content they put out.
Yes.
It's them sitting on a live eating dinner and just chatting with you.
I
It's
love
JK
those.
in bed taking a nap talking. Like they let us in so close to them. We never feel alone and it's like
Yeah.
a lot of us when we come into BTS we are going through something or we're feeling alone and they're kind of like this safety net. Like
Yeah.
they're there with you until you can find Army and you can find your community. It's like they just carried you through that. So, I mean, I know that. I know that my biggest fear when I got divorced was being alone. I didn't want to be alone. I never even
Oh,
slept alone in my
sitting
house.
with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting with I just did an episode. I just recorded an episode that will air 2 weeks before this one airs, where I refer to it sitting in the silence.
Mm,
And it's not silent. It's actually quite loud. It's where all of our insecurities are sitting. And the minute
yes.
we have a minute to ourselves, it's like, hey, Libby, you suck. And it's like all those
Yeah.
thoughts. It's that fear of being lonely, sitting in the silence.
But
We all
they
experience it,
Yes, but the beautiful thing when BTS gets on a live, they're often talking about their struggles too. Like, "Oh,
which
I
is
haven't
so
been able to
fascinating.
sleep. I haven't this, I'm tired," or, they talk about their struggles. They're so real and honest, and you feel
Yes.
so connected. It feels like they see you. So, yes, no matter how long you've been in the fandom, if you
Yeah.
dig into the content, they just feel like they're your best friends, and,
Yeah.
um that's unique. Even in K-pop, it's not like that. I
It
mean,
isn't. Okay. Because
it's not.
I know I've been a boy band girl since NKOTB Boys to Men, like since I was in third and fourth grade. Um, and I remember I just turned 46 2 weeks ago, so I'm a little older, but when New Kids on the Block were like the cream of the crop back in the late 80s, early 90s, when you bought their Barbie doll, it would come with a cassette tape. And I joke like that was their version of going live, was recording a cassette tape and then selling it
Ah,
with their Barbie doll.
yeah.
And that for me, that felt like I was close to them. Or I would read Teen Bop and I would read the question and answers that they would, give to I would read the answers that they gave to the questions. That was a big magazine to get. They were on the cover and it was a big
Mhm.
deal. And with BTS, they're always around. They're
Yeah.
always in front of me. Um, I will be in the middle of having a conversation. Actually, I had to put my phone down because I'm like, what if they go live during this? I have to focus. I was
Yes.
having coffee with a friend the other day, and Jen and J Hope went live, and I said to my friend, I was like, hang on. And she snapped a picture because she couldn't believe it. She was like, I'm right here. We're
Yeah.
talking. I was
Yeah.
like, but they make themselves available like almost
Yes.
24/7 to the point where I'm like, do you sleep? Like, no wonder you guys aren't sleeping.
Yes.
You're in front of us 24/7. But
Mhm.
it leads me to a question that I'm still not 100% sure I understand. I hear the word saucing, and I don't really know what that means. I believe it ultimately means someone who is gone too far and they are obsessed.
Mhm.
But then I've heard that it's actually someone who really doesn't even like them and they're just going out of their way to make the person's life a living hell. And I'm not entirely sure, are they both? Are they different? Like, what is a
Yeah.
sasaeng?
Yeah. So you're definitely right in that a sasaeng is the Korean term for a an obsessed fan that kind of crosses the line, follows you home and goes to private locations and doesn't give you any space. It's a very, very negative term. And I will say though, I think that gets thrown around too loosely nowadays.
It's
Like
everywhere.
you're getting
Yeah.
if you happen to see a member out getting coffee and you sneak a little like, "Oh my gosh, wow."
Hmm.
Some army will peg you a sasang in that
Oh
moment. And
gosh.
it's so far from
I'm
the truth.
telling you right now, if I just happen to be in Dallas and I see Jin walk by, I'm gonna be taking a picture. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna if I can grab my phone fast enough and
Yeah.
polite, I will be documenting it. And I don't think I would be a sasaeng in that. Now, if
No.
I chased him down and was like, yo, and like forced
Waiting.
him, to take the picture, or I waited where I
Yeah.
knew he was going to be, then yeah, okay,
Yeah.
then I would have nothing to argue against if that
Yeah.
was the case. But I think
Yeah.
just snapping a
Sasang
picture is a human thing. You see someone, even if it wasn't BTS, if it was an actor, right?
yeah.
If it was, Brad Pitt, I'd be like, "Oh my God, there's Brad Pitt." Like it's a natural thing to be like, "Oh my stars. This
Yes.
person is standing right in front of me. I
My
need to snap
idol.
this picture."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really become I've been talking about this with friends since they became discharged. It's like Army doesn't know how to act.
Mm,
They've taken their protectiveness over them to a whole different level to
okay.
where they are just attacking any armies who happen to be in their breathing space by chance, and take a picture. That person is assessing. They're just trying too hard to protect them. And there's a difference between waiting for them at their house and sneaking a picture versus just seeing
Right.
them out somewhere. So I've been seeing that word sasaeng thrown around a ton lately.
Yeah.
And the guys have addressed sasaengs, like JK called out a
Yeah.
sasaeng that was following him down the road at
I saw
night.
that. Yeah, that was a live that he did right
Yes.
before the military. I saw that and I was like, okay, I can tell that that's not a good thing, but I don't
No.
quite know what it means.
Yeah. No, it's a huge insult to be called that, but I think it gets
Yeah,
thrown
I
around
wouldn't
a
want to be
little.
called that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were in Korea when RM, Tae, JK, and Jimin exited the military. And then you got to go to J-Hope's concert. You were there for Festa, which is the celebration of when BTS became BTS. But
Mhm.
in this line of questioning I have for you for Sasang, something happened to JK that was so ridiculous. And you were there when it happened, and I'm curious to get your insight in it. There was a woman
Yeah.
who got on an airplane and found out where he lives,
Uh-huh.
and waited for him and was trying to get into his house. Now, it's on one hand, it's quite funny because it's like, sweetie, what did you actually think was going to happen? But at the same
Yeah.
time, like this poor guy couldn't even go home after being in the military for 18 months because there was a security risk at his house. And I mean,
Mhm.
how do you even know where these people, like the fact that you know where these people live, like
Mhm.
that's very concerning from a safety and security standpoint. But what I remember when I heard about that the next day, because it was like everywhere, I was like, oh my stars. Like, okay, we have gone too far, people. Like, that is not
Mhm.
okay. But you were there. How and JK's your bias. So how did you receive that?
I, of course, just kind of outraged by it, like, leave the man alone. He's just trying to go home. But I
Hmm.
try to be realistic. I think the fandom they went crazy. Like, I swear if they could have had pitchforks and went to this woman's house and chased her down, they
Yeah.
would. Like, it was just, I just said, look, we have to anticipate that these things are going to happen. They are the largest group in the world. These things
Yeah.
will happen. And we have just there's a couple of things. We had just gone through 3 years without seeing them as a
A little
group.
bit of a drought. Yeah.
So, yeah, people are gonna act up. Then there's the point that they do let us close, like we were just talking about. You
Hmm.
start to, your delulu can get the best of you, and you can feel
Yes.
like this connection you have is very personal. And when there's a lot of mental illness in the fandom too, just like there is in the world. Like a lot of people find BTS when they are going through a mental health crisis,
It's true.
and they say BTS has saved them. So when you combine all of that, you're going to have people do these
Hmm.
erratic, crazy things. I mean, it's not the first time that someone has gone to their home. But I tried to just say, we have to trust that he built this big fortress of a house and he is prepared for these things. He's got
Yeah.
security. That person was not getting into his house.
No.
Um, so we need to, I mean, but the unfortunate thing is since then he's been pretty quiet.
He's
And
been very quiet, which again, I'm still figuring them out. But when I got
yeah.
to know them, him and Tay were like on live like all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I anticipated him going live like that night. And then the next day I woke up and he hadn't gone live. And then you find out about that. And he's been pretty quiet ever since. And
Mhm.
I don't know him. I can only imagine, I think I mean, I've never held a gun in my life. I've never served in the military.
Yeah.
If there is a civil uprising in our own country, not going to be much help. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
letting you all
Yeah.
know. Yep, I can run 4.5 miles per hour on the treadmill for about 7 to 10 minutes, and I'm good. But like I wouldn't be able to do much else. Like in addition to that,
Yeah.
um, they were in an active war situation where it could have been bad. I'm curious if they are ever able to talk about it when there was the coup attempt in their own country,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
because that they had to have been put on high alert.
Mhm.
Tay probably was in the Capitol,
Yeah.
serving. Mentally, what does that do? And so, there's so much going on, and then you have to worry about people trying to think that they can break into your house because
Mhm.
yes, the delulu is fun, it's light, the things that bring us joy is what allows us to get through the crazy times, the things we can't control in this world. I
Right.
can control the happiness that I bring in. I can control what type of happiness that I bring in. But then, if we allow it to get too far, then it's not good anymore and it's not happy anymore. And
Right.
we're now causing harm to people. And that's not fun to Lulu. We don't want
Mhm.
to go there. And so
Yeah.
it's a fine line, but I was curious to hear what other people and other armies that were in Korea, what their thoughts were. Because I know for me, I was like, this girl needs a therapist, like ASAP. Like,
Yes.
this is clearly a sick person. Um,
Mhm.
but I was more concerned about JK, and he doesn't know me, but yet I was like, oh my gosh, is he okay? Like I
Yeah.
was genuinely concerned for him. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I Korean, I've been trying to learn it. Not because of BTS. I started wanting to learn Korean because I had this idea in my head that I'd be able to watch the K-dramas without all of the subtitles. Why I thought that, I have no idea. I learned the Hangul, which is very easy. You can learn in an hour.
Yes.
I can read Korean. Don't know what I'm reading, but I can
Yes.
read it. Um, but it is a very difficult language. And so like and words have double meanings, and it's, that word saucing is brought up so much right now. And I thought I knew it last year and I knew it was bad. But then there's other things like shipping, which I thought was cool. And I said that to my niece one time and she was like, come here. No, don't ever say that again. I was like, okay, thank you. Like I need to,
Yeah.
I'm 46. I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know all of these things. I need to be instructed and taught. And so I think
Mhm.
um if we can stay within the parameters of healthy things, right?
Yes.
I think when I look at what brings us happiness, I think we have to ask ourselves, are we hurting anybody? Are we hurting ourselves? And if you're not causing harm to yourself, if you're not causing harm to other people, you're good.
Right.
But when you start showing up at people's houses trying to break in, you're hurting
You're
someone
causing,
mentally.
yeah,
You're causing pain to someone, and
yeah,
now you have crossed the line. Um,
yeah, yeah.
what uh what other things find you joy?
Mm. Well, I always say like when BTS kind of takes over your life, it feels like they're everything. They're in every thought
Because
and
they
everything.
are.
Yeah, like I think, God, I don't have time for anything else. But I mean, truthfully, I live a pretty quiet life.
Hmm.
My kids and I love animals, and we have bunnies and cats and dogs and guinea pigs, and we have all these things, and we just love taking care of animals and just having our
I
little
love that.
bubble here, our little sanctuary in the woods. Um, I find a lot of joy in that and in being alone, which was, like I said
Hmm.
before, was the thing I feared so much. Now
And now it's something that you've learned to embrace.
I love it. Yeah, like if I have this pocket of time where I have nothing to do and I can just sit and be with myself,
Hmm.
I'm so happy. That's all I want to do. So I try to make that happen, but I would say for sure that the thing that brings me the most joy is not just BTS, but the platform I've
Hmm.
created and the people I talk to every
Yeah.
day,
Well, I
for
will
sure.
say you absolutely should feel very proud of the platform that you've created. I absolutely adore the content that you put out. I love when you do the recordings where you're sharing a little story. I those are my favorite. I think the one that solidified me as a fan of yours was the day after J-Hope. And you were like, look at all these things that I've got from fans. And I was just sitting there like, tell me more, Jackie. Like, show me. This is so cute. But you have a really good way of, I think I turned my mic off. You have a really good way of just telling a story and
Mm,
bringing people in and inviting us in. And you have a knack for it. And so you deserve all of the accolades,
mm,
the pat on the back, and you have every reason to feel really proud of the footprint that you are adding to a world right now that needs people like you. We
mm,
need the light bearers right now to show us how to stay in the light, how to stay in our happiness, in our
mm.
positive delulu, in the frame of the positive delulu, because
Yes, yes.
we need people like you right now. And so I'm thankful that I have found you and that you were able to join me and have this conversation. Um,
Mm.
where can people find you?
Primarily, Instagram is my home at Jackie in the Soup. I do have, all the others, TikTok, all that, but Instagram is my home. I also have a podcast called Talk Bangtan to Me,
I
which
did not know that.
yes, I started that this year, and I think I'm maybe just 11 or 12 episodes in, so I'm
Okay.
new to the podcasting space, but it's been a lot of fun kind of pushing myself. I felt like, what's
Yeah.
next? I feel like
What's next?
Instagram, what's next for me? So
Yeah.
it's been fun. So yeah, Instagram for sure. If you follow me, I have group chats where people can interact and meet one another, and I'm always on there. So yeah, I hope if people are listening that are Army and want to find some community, you come see me.
I I hope people do find you because you have been just happiness for me. You bring a smile whenever I see some of your content. I
Mm.
love when you're whenever you post a picture and you add just like that little bit of like snarky sass to a picture where, we were talking before, but Taeyong was in Paris this weekend and I said to you, I'm like, he knows what he's doing, right? Like he knows he's really like he's hot. Like he is very hot. And he knows what he's doing, right? Like, cause I don't think I just kept scrolling and liking all of these things. And all of the posts I saw online were really funny, but yours were particularly more adorable. And so I appreciated them.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's all about having fun and finding the balance between being delulu and responsible and just
Yes.
making it a fun place. That's
Yes.
that's the key right there.
We
So
can
thank
lean
you.
in to our delulu, but stay responsible about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you so much for making time to have this conversation. Like I said in the beginning, with everything that's going on in our world, in our backyard, around our own country, around the world, I think this is such an important conversation to remind people that stop. Like
Yes.
everyone just take a breath and let's lean in to the good stuff. Let's lean into
Yes.
those happy thoughts. Let's lean into
Yeah.
the things that make us smile. And maybe it's not BTS. I mean, we'll forgive you if it's not BTS, but give yourself permission to find what makes you happy
Yes.
and be unapologetic about it. Even
Yes.
if it's 1 minute to sit down and just breathe and not talk to anyone. If that's what makes you happy, live it, love it, do it.
Hmm.
If it's, you know, hopping on an airplane to see Taylor Swift perform, like own it, love it, do it. Like the
Yes.
more we lean in to the light and to the happiness, the more we want to be surrounded by it. And I am convinced the more love and kindness we can put out into the world, the more it will replicate itself. And
Like ripples. Yes.
yes, and
Yeah.
those are the type of ripples I personally want to send out into the world. And I, like you, have been bringing, I don't want to say bringing people to me, but I have been attaching myself to other light bearers because
Yeah.
it is so needed right now. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, Miss Jackie in the Soup.
Mm.
We will say your podcast again. It's Talk Bangtan.
Talk Bangtan to me.
Talk Bangtan to me, and it's on Apple and Spotify.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So check out Talk Bangtan to me on Apple or Spotify. She is Jackie in the Soup on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Libby. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Alrighty, friends. So that was my conversation with Jackie in the Soup. Like I warned you, this one was heavy on me fangirling out. But honestly, how could it not be when you're talking about BTS with someone like Jackie? Even still, I tried really hard to keep us anchored to the bigger theme, why leaning into our joy, our delulu, especially right now, actually matters. If you want to follow Jackie and keep the party going, you can find her on Instagram at Jackie in the Soup. And don't forget to check out her own podcast, Talk Bangtan to Me. So, real quick, full disclosure, I'm actually recording this episode 24 hours after Jackie and I wrapped our conversation. And like I said earlier, Jackie gave me the kindest shout out on Instagram this morning. I was floored, truly humbled. And since then, like I said earlier, some of her community has been finding me and showing me so much love, and I am beyond grateful. So, Jackie, thank you for showing up with your full, joyful, hilarious, light bearing self. And thank you to her listeners and friends who've embraced me in and this little corner of the podcast world. And thank you, yes, you, whether you've been with me here since the beginning or just stumbled across through a K pop rabbit hole. I don't take it lightly that you've shared your time and your heart with this space. Quick heads up before I go, this is the final episode of season 3. I can't believe it. I'll be taking a little break because my day job is ramping up and I need to give that some focus for the time. Plus, I'll be heading to Dallas in a week to see our Worldwide Handsome Jin in concert. Very excited. And I'll also be squeezing in some time to catch up with some friends and colleagues while I'm in Texas. But don't worry, I will be back soon with more stories, more conversations, and more reminders of how we find joy in the shadows, even when life feels messy. Until then, please take care of your heart, friends. And don't forget, joy matters, even delulu joy. Okay. As always, I think I've babbled on long enough. We will add to this next time. Remember, what we water grows. So let it be joy, let it be truth. Peace out, friends.